7 minutes to prove that the aliens do exists. Some say it's obvious we're not alone, others scorn the very idea, and still others yet will hauntingly report their own experiences of alien probings following their casual nighttime stroll through the fields of small-town America. But with everything from increasingly bizarre reportings from increasingly credible sources, to basic mathematical probability suggesting the likelihood of alien life, these days, skepticism is harder won. Whatever your opinions, you may well find that the following examples have some impact on them. According to ancient evidence, it's easy enough to write off much recent phenomena, quoting anything from wayward weather balloons to the perpetuation of the legend and UFO sightings in pop culture, providing a cohesive image of extraterrestrials for eyewitnesses to draw on should someone cry alien. But what's slightly harder to dismiss is the ancient evidence, that is pre the National Enquirer. Enter the Madonna with Saint Giovannino, otherwise known as the UFO painting, created in the 15th century. It depicts the Virgin Mary, and in the backdrop of the painting, a man and his dog staring up at a hovering disc-like object that is suspiciously familiar. And this painting isn't alone either, with everything from ancient cave paintings to Sanskrit scrolls all depicting alien life. A sighting even crops up in the Bible in the book of Ezekiel. Either this is compelling evidence, or humanity has a rich tradition of conspiracy theorists. Statistical findings. Back in 1961, astronomer Frank Drake devised an equation by which he could estimate the likelihood of the existence of alien life, taking into account a number of factors including the average number of planets able to support life and the fraction that could go on to support intelligent life. This was then implemented in 2001. The result, statistically, hundreds of thousands of such planets should technically exist. UFO sighting. On the night of August 25, 1951, Dr. W. I. Robinson was standing in the back garden of his home with two of his colleagues from the Texas Technological College, Professor Ducker and Dr. Roberg. All of a sudden all three men saw several lights fly across the sky, silently. They flew across the whole horizon within a matter of seconds, and the same thing happened again a few moments later. Between August and November, Professor Ducker claims to have seen 12 similar flights, and several of his colleagues witnessed some as well. Hundreds of other non-scientists claim to have seen the lights too. On the evening of 30th of August, Texas Tech student Carl Hart Jr. spotted the lights and was able to take 5 successive photos of them with his 35mm Kodak camera. He was paid $10 for the photos and they were printed in papers nationally. However, the professors stated that these photos did not accurately portray the lights they had been seeing. Carl photographed the lights flying in a V formation, the professors had consistently seen them flying in a U shape. Astronaut claims. If you're going to believe any reports of UFOs, you might as well trust those coming from the men who have actually been to space, who usually also come with all their teeth and a PhD. The list of those who have made claims of sightings includes Edgar Mitchell, Katie Coleman and Dr. Brian O'Leary, many also referencing government knowledge of alien existence and cover-ups. Buzz Aldrin has also spoken of his own experience on board the Apollo 11 when they saw something flying alongside them. At first they thought it was the final stage of the detached rocket, until Mission Control confirmed it was 6,000 miles away from them. Major Cooper was a firm believer in UFOs. 10 years earlier, in 1951, he had sighted a UFO while piloting an F-86 Sabre jet over western Germany. They were metallic, saucer-shaped discs at considerable altitude and could outmaneuver all American fighter planes. Major Cooper also testified before the United Nations, "I believe that these extraterrestrial vehicles and their crews are visiting this planet from other planets." Most astronauts were reluctant to discuss UFOs. I did have occasion in 1951 to have 2 days of observation of many flights of them, of different sizes, flying in fighter formation, generally from east to west over Europe. And according to a taped interview by J.L. Ferrando, Major Cooper said, For many years I have lived with a secret, in a secrecy imposed on all specialists in astronautics. I can now reveal that every day, in the USA, our radar instruments capture objects of form and composition unknown to us. And there are thousands of witness reports and a quantity of documents to prove this, but nobody wants to make them public. Why? Because authority is afraid that people may think of God knows what kind of horrible invaders. So the password still is, we have to avoid panic by all means. I was furthermore a witness to an extraordinary phenomenon, here on this planet Earth. It happened a few months ago in Florida. There I saw with my own eyes a defined area of ground being consumed by flames, with 4 indentions left by a flying object which had descended in the middle of a field. Beings had left the craft, there were other traces to prove this. They seemed to have studied topography, they had collected soil samples and, eventually, they returned to where they had come from, disappearing at enormous speed. I happen to know that authority did just about everything to keep this incident from the press and TV, in fear of a panicky reaction from the public. One more astronaut. Edgar Mitchell was the 6th person to walk on the Moon in 1971 after traveling on the NASA craft Apollo 14. He experienced an intense spiritual epiphany on his way back from the Moon and has since dedicated his life to proving the existence of alien life. He has claimed that aliens have previously saved humanity from a devastating nuclear war and suggested that the Vatican is covering up their knowledge of an alien race that is trying to share its secrets for a new source of energy. Thank you for watching. Questionnaire. Name the 2nd person to land on Moon.